Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Circuit of the Americas. Coming at you this time with Grid Life Touring Cup qualifying. My name's Tom O'Gorman. I'm joined today by Grid Life co-founder, motorsports director, and founder of Grid Life Touring Cup.
Well, yeah, it was sort of my brainchild.
Adam Jabay. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Adam, we're kicking off 2020 for Grid Life Touring Cup.
Second year.
For qualifying, but for the whole season. How's it? I mean,
season points do start. They actually started in October at our last round of 2019. That was the first round of 2020, but this is a points round, and we have a good little field, especially for it being 1,000 miles away from our core audience. So we're really appreciative to Super Lap Battle for letting us come be kind of the support series. Get to see this beautiful facility. It should be a fun day. We got a good field and a lot of similar builds. We have three different kind of interesting groups here. We have three NC Miatas with Duratec swaps, 2.5s. We have three RSXs. How many S2000s do we have? I think we have three of those too.
I think the rest of them are S2000s.
It's a lot of S2000s.
Yeah, what's really cool, we were kind of talking about this last night, there's only two cars in the field that have ever raced GLTC before. And we've seen some of the cars elsewhere before, as we look at Fiona Liu's S2000 in the back. That's there, true. Time Attacks, converted over to Grid Life Touring Cup. But we have a very fresh field of cars out here this weekend. So lots of new faces to keep an eye on, and also a new track for most of the drivers. Yes. Yeah, we were kind of counting maybe 3 or 4 of them had been here before in any significant capacity. So this will be a lot of fun to watch over the entire weekend as drivers who maybe are more experienced at other tracks kind of pick up the pace throughout. And the format really caters to that with 4 races this weekend.
Yeah, 6 sessions, 4 races. This is our second session of the day and of the weekend. This is qualifying. So this will set the grid for race 1. I actually think we do have 3 cars that have ran GLTC. We have Derek Yarbrough in that silver NC Miata with the wing. Mm-hmm. We have Carl Hurdle in the minivan, the Honda minivan. Yep. And just the last race of last year, that RSX that we're seeing the back bumper of on the stream there, that is Ben Dozman and Ben Mitchell, I believe. The Bens. I think it's Ben's.
Oh, and Sally. We got 4.
4. Sally.
There we go.
Yep, Sally in the Borla Civic. She's out here with 2 cars.
Yeah, lucky her.
Yeah, she gets to have all the fun.
So speaking of MX-5s, we're looking at one on the stream right now. That is a brand new build for Grid Life Touring Cup this year. Luke McGrew, upgrading, I'd say, to wheel-to-wheel racing, but downgrading from a Dodge Viper, one of the rowdiest cars in Grid Life Time Attack.
Yeah, he's, I believe he's the season or bracket champion last year in his Dodge Viper. Yeah. 700 horsepower car, and now he is one of the 3 2.5 swap Duratec NC Miatas. A beautiful build too. He built all of this himself. All he didn't do was weld the roll cage. So he's being chased by Derek Yarbrough right now. He's
actually being chased by DJ Alessandrini. So Derek Yarbrough and DJ Alessandrini co-driving that silver MX-5 that you just saw power sliding out of turn 1 as they bomb down into the S's now. And DJ, really known for his sim racing background, although that isn't really... that's not really where he's gotten a lot of his experience. He started with karting once he found his love for motorsports, also started with autocross, got really into sim racing as a tool to get better in real life, and then kind of figured out that he's pretty dominant at it.
Transitioned into real cars.
Yeah,
he drives a 9th gen Civic in the Midwest in GLTC.
Yeah.
Very fast. He was podium at least half a dozen times across our series last year. But you're seeing a bunch of S2000s up here. We do also have a newcomer to GLTC, Ryan Upham. We saw him on in the E36 S54 swapped red. It's a red big wing BMW.
Yeah,
so,
beautiful car.
Brand new car there. We're seeing the back of James Houghton. That he's a perennial Time Attack champion across all the series in North America. Looks like I have a yellow flag here at the moment. I think they were towing the BMW. They might have towed the BMW off of an old turn lane.
Yeah, I think that's Mike Jang. Looked like he had some. He was talking to me this morning about some issues with that car.
Electrical issues. It's kind of a sort out weekend for that car. He just got it, and he was telling me a minute ago it might be time for standalone something, electrically wise. So.
He was saying this weekend, if it's working properly, it's still only going to make about 95 horsepower. So
that's
definitely a development weekend. There's that red E36 BMW of Ryan Upham that you're talking about. Beautiful looking car. He's run that car for about 8 years across 3 series. Yeah. Said he's even vintage raced it a little bit with SVRA, but decided to go full tilt GLTC this year. And that's kind of a trend over this offseason. We've seen pretty much everyone putting all of their eggs in the basket of we're going to go in and build GLTC cars because this is a party.
That's sort of what we wanted the rule set to be attractive to a wide variety of potential cars. We didn't want to steal from anybody else. We wanted to celebrate the spirit of wheel-to-wheel and be able to show it to different audiences at events like this, at our festival events, and show everybody in the spectator crowd that all these cars are racing each other, and they're attainable, and interesting, and they're all they're cars that somebody could build in their garage. We see the NC battle here with Yarbrough and Alessandrini and McGrew with James Houghton chasing them in a brand new car. This is only like the 7th lap this car has made on any track ever. That is a TSX with a K24, and it's built with low downforce. It's got the low drag mods. He's kind of looking to build a straight line bullet with this car, so it should be a fun one to watch throughout the weekend.
Right, so we got times coming in for the first laps in qualifying, and it is James Houghton to the top with a 2:30.3. DJ Alessandrini at a 2:34.1, which was actually right about the same time that Derek Yarbrough did in practice in that car. And that's only his first lap out on this track ever. First time in that car ever. So that's going to fall for sure. Luke McGrew goes P3 at a 2:35.7, and we saw Alessandrini and McGrew swap spots this time. So Alessandrini in clean air this time. But this is a perfect opportunity, like you just started to talk about, the different build approaches that GLTC is all one class. All the cars on the track are in the same class, and it's a 12.5 to 1 power to weight ratio limit. And then there's slight modifiers for aerodynamics, tire choice, displacement choice, and also drive line.
Right.
So a variety of different approaches, and you touched on James Houghton has gone for the absolute lightest weight, biggest power, lowest downforce. He's basically minimized the amount of points he has to take for...
he does not have to add weight because he has a big wing or he has a big splitter.
And the car's front-wheel drive, it's naturally aspirated.
He's running 200 treadwear tires,
and running
too.
street tires.
So one of the ways we try to balance tires is a very low treadwear tire, such as a Hoosier or BFG DOT slick that has to run a little bit heavier and a little bit narrower than like a 200 treadwear, and right in the middle is what we call the semi-slick, which is 60 to 100 treadwear.
Yep.
And that would be like a Toyo R888.
Yep, or the Toyo RR, which is on Sally McNulty's car that we're taking a look at here, that new Civic Si TCA turnkey car.
Yep.
So it's really cool to kind of see which approaches these drivers have taken, and James Houghton will be fascinating to watch as this season unfolds, because he's really the first that has gone all in on the minimizing the percentage he has to take, lowering the weight, maximizing the power
for the weight of that race weight of that car.
So he's instead of at 100% modifier, he's probably down to closer to 92 or 93.
The goal of that car for his build was basically to win on high speed tracks such as this and Road America, which are two of the tracks that GLTC will visit this year. Look at that splitter and down the front air dam of that the TSX right on the ground and braking. Sally,
it looks like we have we did a spin in the S's. Oh, that is Sally.
Get that thing refired. We might have a tow there with Sally. That's a problem. We have her car stalled on track.
We're getting reports that it might have actually lost a wheel. If you see the black speck up the grass a little bit, that might be her wheel, but we can't get much closer to take a look.
Car's splitting her. Luckily, she appears to... She's backing up here.
Maybe she's all right.
That might be a safe zone there. Got black flag all here, so we might have our qualifying round here complete.
So it was a 25-minute session. We were about 8 minutes complete, so hopefully if she can pull off, we can resume that. But if there is any debris or anything, they're going to want to clean that up. But right now it is James Houghton still on top after one single flying lap. 2 minutes 30.3 is the provisional pole right there. He actually was slower on his second lap, so he either made a mistake, got balked, or the reality of those street tires and that kind of build on a front-wheel drive car. It's the first lap that really matters the most. DJ Alessandrini was able to improve 2 seconds, 2 minutes 32.5. And that's actually now Dyson Pham up into P3.
Yeah, pretty impressive there. His first time in GLTC.
Yeah, very cool. And that it's a blue S2000 that's converted over from NASA ST4. He ballasted it up and brought it up from Houston.
I think we also saw another mistake we made. Todd Cayley raced with us at Road Atlanta last year. So we, I think that's five previous competitors or cars that have been in GLTC so far. So.
And it's just to round out the top 5. Luke McGrew still holding on to P4 with that 234.9, and then Ryan Upham has brought that BMW up to a 235.7 up into 5th. Todd Cayley just on his heels with a 236.4. So pretty good dice, maybe 5 seconds covering the top group, and then what we move on to after this is racing. It's 4 races, and the format of the weekend is accumulative points over the weekend. And you kind of think of it almost like a Gran Turismo tournament or Forza tournament, where you do a bunch of quick races.
Yep. Inside the weekend.
And the winner is the overall winner on points. So consistency is rewarded, but also strong performances.
The small race super sprint, we like to call it, format, it does kind of lend itself to all the intensity of the first lap, all the intensity of the last lap, without a lot of filler in the middle, but it allows us to not burn these cars down so much mechanically wise, and then they can get more races out of the weekend. So more starts, more checker flags, and so far the drivers seem to really enjoy it. You've raced a few times.
I have never not had fun racing this series, and that's not true of all series I've ever been able to race in. So.
I raced at our Blackhawk Farms event last year, and I got one race in before the engine dropped a valve in our October. Wow. So I think I have 0 points so far for the year. But typically I don't get to wheel a lot. You might get a few more GLTC laps than I do this year.
How many people actually get to say, I mean, you didn't own it, but you created this series. You've been dreaming of it for 5 or 6 years or longer even. How many people get to say they get to race in a series they created?
It's probably a pretty small percentage.
That's really cool.
But yeah, we Chris Stewart and I, we sort of came from the HPDE world, and then we cut our teeth in 24 Hour of Lemons racing, which is kind of the lower budget enduro series. We're seeing cars lined back up in grid, so we might have a chance to re-release here in a moment. Yeah, the wheel-to-wheel world is kind of where Chris and I came from. We always had the best time on track, battling with a lot of different cars, and that was always something that I wanted to bring to grid life, and we just wanted to do it a little bit differently. We also didn't talk about a brand new build here, P7 right now. Eric Meadows, the other NC Miata we haven't talked about. It's another Duratec swap. Another Duratec swap, and he's keeping up with his friends. He has driven the car here one time, but it's just an HPDE to sort the car out. But yeah, we'll see where he has to go with regards to the field over the next four sessions racing. And I think right now we are under black flag. We're hoping for a re-release as they clean up the mechanical issue here.
Yeah, for those of you just joining us, welcome to Grid Life Touring Cup qualifying. We are, as Adam said, under black flag for a quick hot tow. Looks like we'll be able to resume. And you were just taking a look previously on pit lane of the full field of 17 Grid Life Touring Cup cars. Still James Houghton on pole for race 1, but I was getting to kind of how the format evolves over the race weekend. Not only do the quick races help kind of keep things really fun to watch, but each race starts based on a different criteria from the previous race, so the entire weekend builds on itself.
Yeah, the first race, we've ran multiple different formats, and I kind of leave it up to the race director, who this weekend is Renee Hines. Renee's
rad.
Yeah, she is rad. She does have a hashtag. The first race will be based on qualifying. I believe race 2 is based on results of race 1. We also talked about maybe doing fastest time of Saturday, cumulatively being the release point of race 2. So we'll have to send out a bulletin to the drivers tonight, but we'll see at about 3 o'clock. We'll know how today went. So should be a fun race this afternoon. Hopefully these drivers can get out and get a few more laps around this beautiful facility.
So for those of you who maybe are time attackers or joining us on the Super Lap Battle live stream, this is Grid Life Touring Cup. It's wheel-to-wheel racing. The first time that wheel-to-wheel racing, I believe, has been featured on a Super Lap Battle weekend. So instead of going for fast lap, we are actually going to throw a green flag and race these cars 4 times this weekend. This afternoon for the first time, I believe at 2:40 p.m. It'll be live right here on the same stream. And then 3 times tomorrow. Adam Jabay and I will be calling the action the entire time. My name's Tom O'Gorman again.
I'll try to comb and do my hair nicer for you in the future.
They said they were going to have someone to touch us up.
Yeah, I know that the makeup is just sorely lacking.
Help us out.
And we come from the Midwest where we're a little bit pale right now. It's not, we don't see any of that sun this time of year. We see all of our buddies though lined up in grid. Hopefully they get another chance at this beautiful facility. We want to thank Super Lap Battle for kind of letting us come and help support this weekend. They're NATA partners with us, along with SCCA at the North American Time Attack Council, and we are happy to be here. What a beautiful place. I've never been. You've raced here a few times.
I was just going to say, you're looking at the facility. That's the paddock here at Circuit of the Americas, and to be at a Formula One track, racing,
so interesting,
and doing time attack. This is one of the coolest tracks in the country, and the track itself is I'm trying to figure out how to say this, but it's big. It's kind of bare because you think of maybe Road America, Road Atlanta. There's a lot of personality and a lot of grandiosity built around those and everything.
The close walls, etc.
But this track is so hard to drive, and it's long, so it's hard to put a lap together too. Okay. And what'll be really cool is once we move into these wheel-to-wheel races, seeing how these different approaches on builds race each other, because this track, in my opinion, kind of has two personalities. You exit turn 1 and into the S's down through all the way to turn 11. That's really fast, flowy, rolling momentum, connecting the corners. Then you exit onto the back straight from a hairpin. You get a little breather, or a long breather, depending on what you're driving. And then you enter kind of this, what we call the stadium section, and it's really hard corners back and forth, and you're kind of pointing and shooting. And either side of the track kind of rewards different styles of driving, different kinds of cars.
You have raced a TCA car here.
I've raced, a couple times. TCB as well.
Okay, you raced the B-Spec car. The TCA is very similar to GLTC prep. What's your main focus point at a track like this at Circuit of the Americas? What's the hardest thing to nail in a car of this power and this weight and this grip? What's your main focus?
There's a ton of time in the S's, really. Yeah. I mean, it's basically an autocross slalom. Okay. Each corner gets kind of longer and sweepier, but you can carry so much speed. I mean, you literally just like throw the car, and you feel like you're
through as fast as you can.
Yeah, and it doesn't really translate on television very well, but there's quite a bit of elevation change coming down from turn 2, and then you actually rise back up into the S's, and they're blind until you get there. Okay. And a lot of people don't realize that until you drive the track.
But you're
coming into
this
this
simulators, but in real life, the scale of this place seems colossal.
So you can definitely, you have to be fast in the S's to be fast around here, but really the make or break is digging off of all of those slower corners. So you turn 1, 11, 12, 13, 15, 20. That's 6 kind of almost second to third gear corners. They're really slow.
We see some of the S's here that you were just talking about, trying to maximize this area might be where the war is won this weekend in GLTC. We do have the variable of James Houghton. He wants to win the war on the straightaway, but then they're going to have to get around him because he has less grip and less downforce. We will see how he does in the twisties. But so far, so good for Mr. Houghton, and a fresh build. Probably lap 8 right now we are seeing of this car, pictured in screen right now with DJ Allison Jr. right next to him as they pass the camera. One of the more unique cars that we see in GLTC is Carl Hurdle, as we saw him a second ago in the van, the Honda minivan. Cool sounding car too, with that 3.5 V6.
Yeah, your eyes didn't deceive you. That is a Honda Odyssey
it's
race
a
car.
Cage race car.
It's on racing slicks. It is fully caged. It is prepared for racing. It's pretty close to the correct power to weight.
It's almost there.
Ford Grid Life Touring Cup. It is
built,
still a van
for endurance racing, but and it's not. It's the Honda.
No, actually, this car. That's the van that came out of. They started the project actually at Grid Life. They brought it.
Vans.
They brought it to the event completely stock at Grid Life South a couple years ago.
That's this one.
And modified it over the event and tried to figure out how fast they could get it to go by modifying the car at the track.
They were taking stuff out. They were,
upgrading tires, brakes. So they decided to go full build on it. GLTC. He's actually sitting in 12th right now in qualifying out of the 17 cars that we have entered. We are back to green flag. This is qualifying for Grid Life Touring Cup at Circuit of the Americas. James Houghton is on pole right now with a 2 minutes 30.7. You kind of touched on TCA in World Challenge being pretty similar, and that is actually about the fastest that we got our TCA car to go, which is almost identical to the car Sally McNulty's driving as she holds down P8 right now.
She has semi-slick tires.
Yeah, she's changed the car a bit.
A little bit different than a TCA car, but basically the same. She cranked up the power just a little bit to make up for the tires. The tires there. We'll see how she does throughout the weekend. Has she raced here? She raced here last year.
Yes, she's raced here and did Super Lap Battle Time Attack in her Subaru as well.
Wild car.
Experience for sure.
That's a very fast car. She's got quite a bit of disparity between her two automobiles this weekend. There's the minivan, Carl Hurdle wheeling that giant vehicle. It actually is. It's interesting to tech inspect that car because the roll cage is like the front half, and then there's so much extra room behind it.
Yeah.
He runs that thing hard, and it sounds good. It's very, very cool to see a car like that over the big curves at Road Atlanta.
And these are the S's. You see each one gets a little bit longer, a little bit sweepier. Now we're into turn 6 as he just leans on that left front. You kind of set up for a really late apex and tuck it in.
It's really just a tall Accord, though.
Yeah, I've driven that car. It's actually really nice to drive. It's the 3.5 liter V6 from Honda.
It's still a lot of cars.
It's still the 10-speed automatic, so you're paddle shifting on the track. I mean, it's pretty trick. It's cool.
Ryan Upham there in the screen as he passes the fencing, and DJ Alessandrini in view right now. He's a P2 with his current best at 2:32.547. They're on they're about to start their first flyer of the second half of our first qualifying event.
Yeah, I think DJ is going to be one of the drivers to watch as he kind of gets his head around that car and that track, because he's never been at either before.
Yeah. One of the biggest seat time lovers in view right now, Nick Steniford in the Tarmac Apparel S2000. I think it's the first time he has been with us on our compounds. But he
changed.
I think he's on our compounds this year. He ran almost every GTA and every SLB and every Good Life last year. That guy drives that car to the events most of the time also.
That's so cool.
I
love that.
About as hardcore as it gets. I love the spirit behind Nick Stanford, though. I love to see him on track, and glad to have him out here at COTA.
More flyers coming in. Todd Cayley goes to the pole at 229.9. I knew these guys were going to get to the 29s. I think 28s are possible with the GLTC build rule set.
Todd Cayley, I believe, out of Florida?
Yeah, out of Florida, made the haul.
Way.
He's never been here before, but he came out to Grid Life South last year, came out swinging and really performed well.
He podiumed, I think, almost every race in South last year, and now P1, 229.963.
We saw James Houghton was setting up for another flyer, letting the field get by, and I think Ryan Upham was also setting up for a flyer, but as the times are coming through right now, no one's improving. Luke McGrew actually picks up some time at 2:33.4, and he climbs up to 4th place, bumping Dyson Pham down to 5th.
One of my favorite cars on track. Oh, Carl Hurdle off it just a little bit. He will return to the track in a second here. But one of my favorite cars was in view there for a second. That is that Mugen RSX passing Carl right now. That's an old Speed World Challenge car driven by Jeremy Boyson out of Iowa right now. What an amazing build. I mean, it's a pro race car and it's Formula Life.
James Houghton, P1, 229.8. So he goes by less than a tenth in front of Todd Cayley. That's going to be your front row as checkered flag is out. We have flyers finishing right now, but James Houghton, Todd Cayley on the front row right now. DJ Alessandrini never improved on that 232.5, so he's P3 right now. Luke McGrew jumping up to 4th. Dyson Pham, and then Ryan Upham has improved to a 233.8. So we've kind of got the front row and then a bit of a gap, but then the let's see, 3 through 6. That's going to be an awesome race. And again, all of those drivers have never been here before. As they continue to learn, Todd Cayley's never been here before, quick learner. James Houghton has been here before.
He's doing time attack here and he's in Tegra.
So this is
P2, I believe, at SLB last year.
This is heating up fast.
The van, though, kind of probably going to be a continuing storyline because it's so interesting. He ran a 2:42 on his second session ever, and his practice session was cut a little bit short because he was lacking the wristband we needed to get him out there, so he missed a few laps there. But we'll see how the rest of the field shakes out. We have some spec Miatas and some. We have a former Lemons car, Ben Dozman. He's also.
They still race that in Lemons. I just talked to them, and they still race that car in Lemons.
They're going to, It's been GLTC for the last 2 weekends. New engine in that car, and they're sorting out some problems, but still got a 250 out of that car. So we're to see how the bugs get worked out. And that is the orangish real-time racing style livery RSX, one of the 3 RSXs we have here. We have a bunch of newcomers to Good Life and SLB also, so glad to have everybody out here. Met some new friends last night in tech inspection, and
we called the checkered flag, but Todd Cayley was able to get one more flyer, and he goes to a 229.5. So back to pole for Todd Cayley over James Houghton. These guys are going to be so much fun to watch when the green flag flies on race 1.
Impressive.
So kind of running down now that everyone has more or less finished their flyers. I hear James Houghton just going by me now. He may be on one more flyer. Let's give it a second before we...
His best of 229.880. 229.512 now the time to beat Todd Cayley in the S2000.
Yeah, so I think it's... Dyson Pham improving on his final flyer at 232.1, so that's going to bump DJ Alessandrini down to 4th. But all of those guys from third kind of down to sixth are really, really tight in the 232 to 233 range.
Really impressive to see Todd Cayley on probably his 10th lap here ever run a 229. But Dyson, a local on the strength of a stockish S2000 with 232. Pretty impressive. I love the... for a lot of newcomers to this track, I love the parity. We see Gareth Campbell there, K24 swapped EK Civic, the four-door. It's still
making the
lit
trip
up
all the way down from Michigan.
Yeah, it's still lit up from our night racing at round 1 of 2020 in October.
Yeah, doing a lot of work this year with Motegi Wheels, which is one of the partners of the series. So I think you'll see that car make big strides this year. A lot of fun to watch there.
I think we're about to roll into some time attacks. We're probably going to have to hand over the reins back to our buddies.
Yeah, so pulling up the final results for Grid Life Touring Cup qualifying. This will set their starting grid for the wheel-to-wheel race starting at 2:40 this afternoon. It is Todd Cayley in his Honda S2000 on pole at a 229.5. 3/10 back, James Houghton of Time Attack fame and now GLTC trying to take it down with his big monster street-tired Acura TSX at a 229.8. Dyson Pham and DJ Alessandrini on the second row. Luke McGrew, Ryan Upham in sixth. Eric Meadows climbing up to seventh. Nick Steniford getting that S2000 to eighth. Sally McNulty hanging on to ninth despite the issues in qualifying. And Gareth Campbell gets that green Civic we just took a look at up into the top 10. Jeremy Boysen, Carl Hurdle, Fiona Liu, Matt Murray, Ben Dozman, and Brian DeFries round out the entire field of 16 cars. Appreciate you guys joining us for Grid Life Touring Cup qualifying. My name is Tom O'Gorman. I was joined by Adam Jabay, and we are back on the Super Lap Battle live stream at 2:40 this afternoon for race 1 to kick off the 2020 race season.
Now we get to go talk and hang out with our friends and probably scale some cars in
It's the best part.
So we'll hand it off to Carla and to Cuban. So thanks, everybody.